So the second point I mentioned about how Francis dealt with the wolf was to listen. Before we listen, we have to be silent. In stilling the mind, our emotions become still, and we can truly experience silence. Not just the silence of no noise around us, but the true silence within our heart. White Eagle said, "The wise man or woman learns so much through silence." How wise is he or she who has learned to discriminate between what to say and what to leave unsaid. Wise also is he or she who can listen to the spoken word and understand the language of the Spirit behind it. You know the story of the wise old owl who sat on a tree and looked and listened. Learn to be wise, to be silent, and to listen. How many people do you know who truly listen to what you are saying? How many? How many people talk over you when you are trying to say something? Or they can't wait to share their experience, or to tell you that they don't agree with you, or that they are much wiser and they have a better story. Listening to others is part of learning to still the mind. It's learning to be present in the moment, now, and now, and now. If we're truly listening to another person, our mind would be in neutral, rather than thinking, oh yes, I had a similar experience, or I don't agree with what they're saying. When we listen with our whole being, then we are training ourselves to listen to the inner levels of life. And that's when we hear our guide, or our guardian angel, or the wise ones. It is when we are still in mind and body that we can touch and hear God. And this leads me into our speech. We have to be so mindful of our speech, how we say things to people, what we say to people. Is our words of encouragement, or is it going to hurt that person? We have to be so mindful. White Eagle again was referring to the owl when he said, we must learn to be very guarded, very careful in our speech. The wise man learns so much through silence. You know the story of the wise old owl who sat on a tree and looked and listened. It is good for us to learn to be wise and silent, to listen. And this is why, because the throat is the center through which you will train yourselves thus to hear. Now that sounds really strange, doesn't it, that we learn to hear through our throat. But our throat chakra is actually the creative center. So we actually do hear through our throat chakra. White Eagle went on to say, I am not telling you a fairy tale. I am speaking of facts. So we must learn to guard our speech. When we learn to speak with thought and kindness, it has been said that until a soul has ceased to hurt another through its speech, it cannot stand in the presence of the Master. It must learn to control that unruly little member, the tongue, and use it with wisdom, kindness, and love. Never speak unless you're going to say something helpful and wise. If you cannot help, it is better to be silent. In this wise usage of speech, you automatically bring into activity the throat center, and as it grows in size, you will be able to hear. It is strange to hear with the throat, you will say. It will grow in size and reveal to the clairvoyant very lovely colours. So he's asking us, during this coming month, will you practice listening? First, be silent, and then listen. And the last quality that St Francis had was love. And that reading, Melissa, was absolutely beautiful. And White Eagle's words are, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word came from the heart of silence, from the stillness of life. Silence is power. Life becomes active in the silence when the Word of God goes forth. Noise, discord is disruptive, disintegrating. And remember, the mind can make as much noise as the mouth. I love that. Meditate on the stillness of God, the love and the wisdom of God. And then the light radiates from you, and you become a center of love, healing, peace, and wisdom in the world. So, how do we deal with the wolf, which can be our fears, our negativities, our anger, our insecurities in our life? By stilling the mind. And that includes breathing, letting go of the past, meditating and working with the light, we need to listen. Silence first, controlling the mind, watching our speech, and the third, a loving heart. So, coming back full circle to the beginning of my talk, yes, we can find peace, stillness in a geographical position such as out west, or in a rainforest, or on a deserted beach. But the ultimate place to find that stillness is within our heart, within a quiet mind, a loving heart. So, let your light shine